So welcome to this lesson 3 of Learning English Together for Intermediate Advanced Learners. This class covers some basics of grammar and pronunciation and other elements of the English language so that you can become a skilled speaker. So I hope that you will learn from this, and I hope that what you learn is helpful to you. We will have a quiz at the end of the class where I will ask you to answer some questions. The quiz is not graded. I will not point out anyone who didn't get all the answers right. This is to see if you understand some of the concepts. So we will have a quiz um, that will run for about 3 minutes. There'll be 3 or 4 questions. And if you listen in this class and you read the curriculum, the questions should be easy to answer. So our schedule for every class is this. We have an opening prayer. We do a review of our homework from the previous week. I introduce some new words. I talk about some idioms. I'll teach you some grammar points. We will have an exercise of reading out loud where I will ask each of you to read a section from a text. We'll talk about some pronunciation difficulties. I'll share a video with you, a short one, about 2.5 minutes, and then I'll provide the transcript for you. I want you to be able to listen to American English and understand it. So the transcript will be helpful for you to read when you listen to the YouTube video again after class. Then we'll have a quiz and I'll have some homework for you when we talk about what's happening next time. Okay, with that said, any questions before we start? Any questions before we start? Okay, I'll go to the very first slide. Well, actually, what I'll do is I will have the opening prayer. I apologize. So we pray before the beginning of every class. I ask you, Father, to help us to learn today, to be focused, and to be willing to correct some of our misunderstandings as we speak and write English well. Amen. Okay, so now we can do our first slide, which is a review of last week's homework. So we talked about gerunds last week. And can someone answer the question of what is a gerund? It should be right there on the screen. Anyone want to answer? All right, I will read the answers to you. I'm not sure if your screen is blinking or not, but my screen is blinking. I apologize. I don't know why that's happening. So a gerund is the noun form of a participle verb. So if the participle is the word walking, then the gerund looks the same. It's walking, but it is a noun form. So in this example, we have the man is walking. That's a participle. It is using the continuous present walking. It's a participle. When we talk about the noun of that verb, walking, it's a gerund. The man enjoys walking. We're talking about an action, not as a verb, but as a noun. He enjoys making something. He enjoys cooking. He enjoys running. Those are all nouns that you can enjoy. So I asked the class last week to form some sentences from the following verbs using gerunds. So the very first one is swim. And on the weekends, I enjoy, and think of the gerund form here. I enjoy what? It's the gerund form of swim. What would the gerund form look like? raise your hand if you want to answer, or you can speak out. All right, I'll answer the very first one since you seem to be shy. On the weekends, I enjoy swimming. Swimming is the gerund form. You enjoy a thing. I enjoy food. I enjoy swimming. So the next sentence is using the verb read to form the gerund, which is a noun. So my favorite way to relax is
Reading.
exactly. My favorite way to relax is reading. Very well. Thank you, David. We'll keep going. Wait, wait. I don't like blank for Christmas. What is the gerund there that I don't like?
Waiting. Waiting.
Waiting. Correct.
Reading.
Waiting. You guys all get A's. I don't like waiting for Christmas. And do you understand that it is not a verb? It is the noun. I don't like dogs. I don't like waiting. It is a noun form. It looks like a participle. And very often, for people who are learning English, gerunds are very difficult. I may have said this to you before, but I'll say it again. I was an editor for many years, and gerunds were one of the most difficult things for the writers who worked with me to understand. So I want to make sure you understand it. So here's the word dance. When I go to carnival, I like to watch
The dancing.
the dancing, correct. What if I said I like to watch the dancers? What form of grammar is dancers compared to dancing?
Dancing.
Dan
Dancings.
yes,
Then sings.
dancing is the gerund, but I like to
Okay.
watch the dancers. D-A
Dancers.
dancer,
Okay.
danse,
Thank you.
that would be the noun form, right?
Okay. Thank you.
So when we have different forms for saying I like to watch this activity, which is dancing, or I like to watch the people who are dancers. That was a bonus bit of information.
Okay, okay.
Good.
So dancers, I'm sorry, dancers is the name, right?
Yeah, dancers is the name, it's the noun.
Okay. Oh, it's the noun, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
dancing is the gerund.
All right. Thank you so much.
No worries. All right. Um, if you could mute when you're not speaking, that's great. Play. So, son, stop blank and come into the house for dinner.
Playing.
Playing, correct. We had a discussion about this several weeks ago about how to turn a verb into a noun. So if you said someone likes to swim, that person is a swimmer. Someone who likes to read is someone who is a reader. Someone who serves you and waits on you is a waiter. Someone who likes to dance is a dancer. And so someone who likes to play is a player. So that's a way to form nouns from verbs. And English can be intriguing in that because sometimes people in English or who use English as a native will form nouns from verbs in unexpected ways. So I can only tell you to be prepared for some unusual ways that verbs are turned into nouns. We watched a video last week about American culture and government. We talked about primary elections. So if you were in the class last week, you might have some questions about what you learned. So feel free to ask those questions and I will respond here in the class. If you do not have your questions ready yet, please feel free to post them later in the WhatsApp group and we can answer them there. So we talked about elections, specifically primary elections, which are used to choose each party's candidate for the national or general election. So any questions from last week on primary elections? Okay, I'll take silence as an assent that you do not have questions. All right, our next topic to talk about is 5 new words. These might not be completely new to you, but I want to illustrate something to you with them. So the 5 words that we have are market, supermarket, grocery or groceries, staples, and checkout. And I'm picking these not only to illustrate some specific points about English nouns, but also because we use this in the reading example we have today. So a market is a general term for a place to buy things. And if I spelled that correctly, that'd be better. I misspelled the word buy. It should be B-U-Y, and I apologize. A place to buy things, usually food items. A supermarket is a kind of market. It's typically larger than the normal market that just sells food. A supermarket often sells other things as well. So you might be able to go to a supermarket and buy food, but also buy a nice shirt and maybe a toaster. And perhaps you could buy a lamp. So they are larger markets that just sell more than one general thing. That's the difference between them. A grocery is another name for a market that sells food, and typically it means it only sells food. It's often used as a plural to refer to food items. You can say, I'm going to go buy groceries, meaning I'm going to go buy food. I'm going to go grocery shopping, that you're going to a type of shopping. It is a word that usually means just food. And staples, when you talk about everyday food items that you buy and eat every day, those are staples. For example, every day you might need to buy bread. You might need to buy fruit. You might need to buy some vegetables. Those are the things that you buy and eat every day. Now, it doesn't mean you go shopping every single day, but typically it's the things that you buy because you'll eat them every day as your normal food items. So those are staples, and that's in the reading lesson for today. And checkout is when you go to the front of the store with your items and you pay for them. You check out. It means basically you have someone review every food item or every item in your basket, and then they charge you for each item, and you get a total at the end. That's checkout. Any questions about those 5 words? They'll come in handy later.
Okay. Hello? Are you there?
Yes.
Clear for me.
Oh, keep talking.
There seems to be a discussion going on in the background.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I'm talking to you. So, the check out
Yes,
is a modal verb, right?
it's
It's a modal verb or phrasal verb.
yeah, it's a verb form. Well, this is actually a noun form. The,
Ah, okay,
the
it's a noun.
checkout, yeah, the checkout station. When it
Okay,
is
stay.
when it is when it I'm going to actually mute you. When it is 2 words, check out, then that is a phrasal verb. Yes. So I'm going to check out my items. You are doing a verb, so it's check out. The checkout itself is the place where you go to pay for the items. So these phrasal verbs often are closed up when they become the noun form. So for example, I'm going to sign in to the website. That's a phrasal verb, sign in. You're not just going to sign, you're going to sign in. It's a verb that requires that preposition. I'm going to sign in. And it means you're going to enter your login information and you're going to enter your password and then you're going to press enter. So that's what sign in would mean as the action. The thing that you use to perform that action as a noun would be the sign in. What are your sign in credentials? So that word is a noun form and it is one word with no space. It's tricky in English, but I saw this problem when I was an editor that writers would often confuse the noun and the verb form. So yeah. Go ahead, Scott, if you want to say something.
Yes, okay. Okay, that is to say that you mean with the two with using the two to the checkout word,
Yes, yes.
it is a phrasal verb, and
Yeah,
without the two, it's a noun.
correct. Yes,
Oh,
correct.
okay. Thank you so much.
And so one thing you could take some um, I don't know, pleasure is the right word, is that many people who write and speak English natively don't understand this. And so they see it all as one word. It's usually just one word together. And precise writing requires you to understand the difference between a phrasal verb and a noun. It's not going to mark you down as not knowing English well. It's just one of those skills that are nice to have as you become an expert at speaking and writing English. So if many Americans can't do it correctly, you can give yourself a pat on the back because you do it correctly. Any other questions about this list of words? Actually, I gave you 6 words. That was a bonus. All right. So we'll keep going.
Okay, yes.
I don't know why the homework came back up. Okay.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
what about the word grocery?
Grocery
Yeah,
is
grocery.
a word that generally means food items only. And it's used to describe a kind of market that sells usually only food. So I'm going to get groceries, plural, means that I'm going to go get some food. When I go grocery shopping, I go to the market. The market is where I can buy things like food. But groceries are usually considered things that you put in your bag that you can eat. Typically, it will be things like fruit, vegetables, meat, dairy, anything that you consume as a food product is groceries, plural. So when you go shopping, I'm going to go shopping. You can say I'm going to go grocery shopping, which means I'm going to go shopping for food. Any questions about that? Do you want more clarification?
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Sure. All right, I'll keep going with some idioms here. So these idioms are based around food, interestingly enough. So there's, I believe, 5 of them in this list. The first one is to spill the beans. You may have heard this. You may have heard this in another idiomatic way. Tell me the deets or tell me the details. Spill the beans. That is to reveal confidential secrets or inside information. And the sentence I have illustrating it here, I heard some great gossip, and so I'm here to spill the beans. You can tell by the context that what I'm about to say is I'm going to share some gossip. And typically, gossip is something that's confidential in some way or that only certain people know. And I'm going to let you know this special information. So, spill the beans. You're spilling all over the floor this big pile of beans that you've been holding in your hands. The next question is piece of cake. The test was a piece of cake, which might not make sense, but if you read the following sentence, I knew all the answers and just ran through the questions. So it looks like something that's a piece of cake is something that's easy to do. So that test was a piece of cake. It was easy to do. This job is a piece of cake. It's easy to do. It's an idiom, and I cannot tell you why this idiom was created this way. I could imagine a reason why, but it just is an idiom. All right. We'll go on to the next one, and I'll have some time for questions at the end of this slide and the next slide both. So break the ice. I have as an example the sentence, no one is talking at the table. So let's break the ice with the question. What's the last thing you do before you finish a shower? So it sometimes when you're in a group and you're not sure of who everybody is, and people are kind of shy and a little afraid to say anything, you ask a question to break the ice. It's often called an icebreaker. It means let's get people unfrozen from their fears and their shyness and ask a question that does not have a factual answer or it's not giving you information that's really useful. It's just fun. So asking a question like, what's the last thing you do before you finish a shower? People can offer all kinds of things. They can make it as funny as they want, or they can make it as dull as they want. But it's a way to get people to talk. And then once people get talking, they're then used to talking and they'll begin to answer more questions or take part in the conversation. So it's starting a conversation by asking an interesting, open-ended question. Now, does anybody know what the words open-ended question means?
Oh no, can you please
Yeah, I'll explain it. Yeah. So you
just
might see this. Open-ended questions are are questions that require you to think before you answer. So if I said to you, what is 2 plus 3? There's only one correct answer. That's a closed question. If I were to ask you, how many states does the United States comprise? There's only one answer. It's 50. But if I were to say, what's the best food in New York City? That's an open-ended question. How do you answer that? You answer that
uh
with your own taste and experience.
okay, that is to say it's a question with a closed answer, right?
With an open answer. There's no way to
We don't
answer it.
know.
Yeah, you don't answer it predictably. Like this question here,
Okay.
what's the last thing you do before you finish a shower? Everyone has a different thing. What's the last thing you do before you finish a shower?
Uh,
You know,
okay.
my last thing is to make sure that my hair is completely rinsed out. So people have different answers. And once you answer those kinds of questions, typically the group is more comfortable with answering other questions. So that's what break the ice means. Okay, we'll go on to the next set of idioms. Again, they're food-based. Don't cry over spilled milk. As an example, you broke the copier, but get it fixed. Don't cry over spilled milk, which means to help someone get over something bad that happened. And as an important cultural note, you don't use this to talk about tragic events or serious results. So, oh, you bent the bumper of your car. Well, let's get it fixed. Don't cry over spilled milk. You can't change that now. It's happened. Let's just do something to fix it. Oh, you were out in the yard and you were sweeping the yard and you broke the broom handle. Well, don't cry over spilled milk. Let's just get another broom. You don't use this to talk about tragic events or serious results. Oh, I heard you have cancer. Well, don't cry over spilled milk. That would be completely unacceptable. It's very rude because you're dismissing the importance of the event. So this is used for something that happened that is not tragic or serious. So you could say, I heard that you you shared some information that you shouldn't have shared and it got passed around as gossip. Well, you know what? That wasn't a smart thing to do, but it's done. Don't cry over spilled milk. Let's just see what we can do to fix the problem. Does that make sense? Cultural things are difficult. I understand that. So you might not fully understand the cultural difference between something that can be dismissed with a don't cry over spilled milk and something that shouldn't be dismissed like that. So in cases of cultural implications, it's a really good idea to always defer to what's safe and what is the least damaging thing you could say. That's probably true in other cultures, but in America, it's really true. It's really important to understand that difference. Any questions about that? You want some more examples, or you want to give me an example and ask me what it should be considered? All right, we'll keep going. The next idiom is in hot water. I'm in such hot water, I forgot to turn in my final essay on time. That's to be in a difficult situation that's hard to escape from. It's a pretty easy one to understand. You did something that was the wrong thing to do, or you forgot to do something that was important. You're in hot water, meaning you're getting a lot of attention and it's unwanted attention, and there's no way to get out of it easily. It's a difficult situation that's hard to escape from. All right, I'll keep going, but I want to point out that I'm picking up these idioms from a web page that I post in the class every day. I pull these out and I explain them. Uh, I do not need to reinvent the wheel. So that's why I use these idioms from this particular web page. And reinvent the wheel is an idiom, which means I don't want to do something that was already done. So if someone has already created a list of 50 idioms, I'm going to borrow it because it was done already. And I give attribution here by saying, here's where the web page is. Any questions? Right, I'll keep going. Let's talk about adjectives. Adjectives can be a little easier to understand than gerunds and participles. So I wanted to bring this a little bit down because I think it might have been overwhelming. So an adjective modifies a noun or pronoun to add information about the qualities, the quantity, or the state. So the example here is in bold. The big dog barked. Big is the adjective modifying the noun dog. She is a kind person. Kind, I made a mistake. Kind is the adjective modifying the pronoun. That should be modifying the noun person. This is wrong. All right, well, that's two mistakes. I'll fix that. So generally in spoken English, adjectives come before the noun. The blue sky, the yellow sun, the white clouds. But they can also come after the noun, after the verb to be. The sky is blue. The sun is yellow. The clouds are white. I do have a description of how to determine the order of the adjectives. It is a very interesting way of learning English. Native English speakers really don't even understand how they know this. But if you were going to say, I petted the big yellow dog, that's the correct order. If I say, I petted the yellow big dog, that's typically not how it's said. It's typically big yellow dog. So I will post a link in the WhatsApp chat of how to determine the order of speaking adjectives. And it's more for your information. It won't come up in this class. It's a complex thing to talk about, but native speakers know just because of all the examples of when these adjectives are put into the correct order. I gave you something simple here with just single adjectives. So adjectives modify nouns or pronouns to add information. Any questions about that? It's a simple thing, but I wanted to talk about it and show you that it doesn't always have to be before the noun. So here's some examples of adjectives. I put them in order by the differences: good, bad, hot, cold, difficult, easy, sick, healthy, big, small, expensive, cheap, open, closed, nice, terrible. Many adjectives do have a partner that's negative. Sometimes you can make the negative just by adding the word in. For example, expensive could become inexpensive by adding the prefix in, inexpensive. That's not always true, but if you have an adjective well, you could make that into the adjective that's negative as unwell. It's not common, but it can be done that way. All right, let's read aloud some text. I'm going to change what's on the screen to show you a text. And I'm going to actually stop sharing just for a second here so I can get the right page up. Oh, wait, wrong. I've got 3 browsers running here to make sure I have the right things to show you. Now, can you read this information on the screen? It is from a site called lingua.com. If you don't have access to that site, I would recommend you get access by going to that website someday. There's lots of simple English texts that you can read for your practice and that you can answer questions. And it also includes some people reading the text for you. But I wanted to share this with you here so you could read this text with me. And we'll start off with going to the supermarket. So I will read the first paragraph. And if you would like to read with me, oh my goodness. We're good.
I'm sorry, teacher, but we can hardly see the text.
Is it not big enough? Is that better?
Yeah, it's correct
better like
now.
that, yeah. It's
Okay,
better now.
It's better now.
Good.
Right.
Good. All right. So ask you to mute your.
Yes,
Thank you. All right, so I will read the first paragraph, going to the supermarket. So Martha, there's that bugaboo with the TH. Martha is at the grocery store getting ready for a house party. She has a list of what she needs with her as she goes along. The first section she comes to has produce. Martha sees apples, bananas, cherries, grapes, and strawberries. She checks her list. So who would like to read the next list of the items that Martha has? Anyone can speak out.
okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
May I?
Yes,
Okay. The
yes, go
second one,
ahead.
right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Malta get her items and looks the bananas.
Oh, that's
They or
I didn't write this. Looks at the bananas. Oh gosh.
only this?
Yeah, so it should be Martha gets her items and looks at the bananas. I
Yeah, looks at.
catch this.
Okay,
Lordy,
only
this is
this.
terrible.
Okay. Okay. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, start over or no,
Yes, go ahead
I
and
can.
start over.
Okay. Malta get her items and looks the bananas. They are on sale for much cheaper than they are normally. She takes 3 bananas. Next are vegetables. She sees potatoes, carrots, tomatoes, onions, mushrooms, and salad in bags. She checks her list.
Very good. The only thing
Right.
I'm going to ask you to work on is the sorry, is the word bananas. Is bananas is not the word, it's bananas. So the banana in English is the yellow ripe banana in Creole. So she's looking at the bananas. So you want to try saying that one sentence again?
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. Try reading the corrected sentence there. Do you see the correction I made?
Checking on me.
Yeah,
You want me to choose the correct in it?
yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
If
Oh, okay, okay.
if you don't see it, that's fine. But Martha gets her items and looks at the
The bananas,
bananas.
right?
Correct. I wanted you to get that
Okay,
word correct.
bananas.
Yeah,
The bananas, right?
bananas. Yes.
Okay,
The
banana.
great thing about English is the
Okay.
number of ways to pronounce words. Unlike other
Okay.
languages, the accent is
Bananas. Okay, bananas. Thank you
yeah,
so much.
sure. All right. She's gonna looking for 6 apples, 1 bag of cherries, 1 bag of grapes, 2 cartons of strawberries. So now what she's going to do is she's going to, good grief, I almost said a bad word. This is so frustrating. Okay, she checks her list. Gosh, still thinks I'm in the annotation mode. All right, she checks her list. She's looking at 5 pounds of potatoes, 6 carrots, 4 tomatoes, 2 onions, and 4 mushrooms. So who would like to read the next paragraph?
I will like
Yes,
wait.
yes, please do.
As she's putting her items into her car, Martha checks the many bags of salad and chooses 2 of them. She pushes her car ahead. The next section is meat and dairy. She sees meat, fish, cheese, eggs, and milk. She checks her list.
Very good. The
2
all
fish.
Yeah, we'll stop there. I want to go over the words. You did a really good job of reading there. Couple of minor things. So, as I've said in previous classes, and as you know, the pronunciation of English words is difficult to predict. So the word item here is the long I, item, item,
Item.
item. Yes. Everything else looks really good. Really work on the R at the end of words like her. So that's a sign of an English native speaker is to pronounce that R correctly. It's not the same as the R used in other languages. And in American English, but I speak broad Midland American English. And so in my accent, which is the most common accent, the R is not silent. So you might hear the R, actually, you might not hear the R in some of the accents of America where they leave it off. She puts her items into her cart. So the R is often suppressed in those dialects. But for most Americans, the R is pronounced. So everything else was really good. If you want to continue reading the list, you're welcome to.
Yes, two fish salmon,
Mhm.
1 block of cheese, cheddar, 1 dozen eggs, 2 gallons of milk.
Very good. Very good. Now, a couple things. Salmon. The L is not pronounced. Salmon. Uh,
Salmon.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we throw extra letters in because they're cheap, right? So salmon does not get pronounced salmon, and I pronounced it with the L when I was a child, and my parents laughed at me. So I understand how difficult it is to read these words and to figure out how to pronounce them. So that was good. I do want to ask a question here because this will be part of a class exercise coming up. When we have the word dozen eggs or 2 gallons of milk, those nouns are plural, correct? Eggs and gallon. Is fish here correctly spelled and used when talking about more than one fish? It's a trick question because there are some nouns in English that do not have a plural form. The singular and the plural are the same. And one of the words here is fish. It does have an exception, but in most of the cases, when you're talking about more than one fish, it's just fish. I ate fish for dinner. I have many fish in the freezer. There are hundreds of fish in the pond. So fish is one of those peculiar English nouns that does not usually have a plural form that's different from the singular. Okay, we'll keep going. Any questions on
Okay.
the text so far? You
Yes.
can go ahead and read the next part.
Now, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, I would love to know when you are talking about different kind of fish, can you like use the plural form?
You 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 can. I have whitefish. I have salmon. I have trout. There are many fishes here. When you're talking about different types, you can use that plural form, but most people just use the singular form. That's a more precise way of speaking English that's not common. So if you
Okay,
if
thank you.
if you if you use that, you will sound correct. It's just not as common as other forms. Okay, we can look at the next paragraph. We're actually running out of time, so I'm going to read this paragraph out loud. She looks at the meat that is on sale and chooses a 5-pound roll of hamburger. She gets the rest of the items in that section. She still needs rice, bread, salt, sugar, and flour. She gets 2 bags of rice, 4 loaves of bread, a 2-pound bag of sugar, a 2-pound bag of flour. Martha then realizes that she has forgotten something. She runs back and gets 1 container of salt and then rushes to the checkout. She puts her groceries into her car and leaves. So practice reading that this week. Try to focus on the difficult words, and we can share next week if you found anything difficult to read or understand. So any questions about that? Okay, we'll keep going.
No.
No, go ahead. So I do want to ask a couple questions, and if you read the text that I gave you with this link right here, these questions are in that list as well. So what is a grocery store? A grocery,
Mm,
go ahead.
you ask us for that question. What is a grocery store?
Yeah, what is a grocery store?
Okay. A grocery store is where people can buy, food to
Yes,
eat, meal, right?
yes, that's a really good answer.
Mm.
Um,
Okay, right. Thank you.
so we didn't get to focus on this in the text, but fresh fruits and vegetables are also called produce. So some English words that are verbs become nouns and the pronunciation changes, and produce is one of those words. So the word produce is the noun. What does this machine do? it produces cream. Produce usually refers to fresh fruits and vegetables. So if you go to a market or grocery store, you might see a section called produce. And produce means there's fruit and vegetables here. What are staples? Staples are the things that you buy for everyday eating. And then if you read the text, you'll find the answer to this question, but I'll give it to you now. And if you read the text, I want you to remember this. Groceries often have more vegetables than fruit. Why is that? So you'll see plenty more things like potatoes and corn and celery and lettuce. You'll see much more of that than you'll see of fruit in many grocery stores. So the reason for that is that fruit ripens very quickly. And if the grocery store puts out a lot of fruit in one day, most of that fruit will ripen to the point where it's not sellable anymore. So the grocery stores like to put out less fruit per day so that it doesn't spoil quickly. And fresh groceries are usually the fruits and vegetables that you get that haven't been frozen or haven't been dried or haven't been otherwise prepared. So make sure that you read that text in this week. I include the link in the curriculum and I include it here on the slide. Then pronunciation, because we're running out of time, I'm going to ask you to look at this and we'll cover it next week. I wanted to pick something that would challenge you on the TH phoneme. So love is a thunderous force that thaws the thickest of hearts at the threshold of vulnerability. It's a challenging statement to read, but I'd like you to go through this and read this on your own. And then next week we can share how we did. My goal is not to make anyone feel bad. My goal is to help you to learn to pronounce these very difficult phonemes in English. And I understand in listening to people who speak other languages that this is what most commonly occurs as the difficult words to or difficult sounds to pronounce. All right, I'll keep going here. I'm going to share a 2-minute video and along with a transcript. And so what I'd like you to do is listen to this video and then read the transcript. And there's some questions to answer at the end. So let me get that up here. So this is a transcript, excuse me, this is a video about grocery shopping and a strategy to spend less on groceries in America. Please do not be shocked by the prices. The price of groceries in America is way higher than it is in other countries.
It's a new strategy for grocery shopping. It's taken off on social media. People who try it say the 6-to-1 method saves them both money and time. Elizabeth Schulte tested it out. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey again, George. Well, a big challenge with budgeting while you're grocery shopping is not straying from your list. You see something at the store that you like, you notice a deal, you put it in your cart. Well, the 6-to-1 method is one solution for that, and it is saving some shoppers hundreds of dollars every month.
It's the viral strategy saving some grocery shoppers time and money.
Let me show you my favorite way to grocery shop on a budget in 30 minutes.
Meet the 6-to-1 method, influencer Will Coleman's creation, where each week you buy 6 veggies, 5 fruits, 4 proteins, 3 starches, 2 sauces, 1 fun thing for yourself, and that's it.
What was behind the idea of this method?
I just wanted to take control of my wallet and my time and just figure out a way to be strategic when it comes to the normal thing of grocery shopping, something we all have to do.
Coleman says he spends between $80 and $90 per week using the 6-to-1 method on groceries for his household of 2, almost half of what the typical couple spends every week.
The 6-to-1 method has saved me hundreds of dollars because you come in the grocery store with a plan. You're not just shopping for anything.
Tiara Smith says the method helped cut back spending cash on takeout.
It forces me to save even more money because I'm not going to eat out because I have food at home that I know I can cook.
We decided to give the 6-to-1 method a try.
This definitely counts as 1 fruit, right?
For me, 6 fresh vegetables felt like a lot to use before they spoiled.
Okay, we'll do some broccoli. Why not?
I opted for some frozen options.
Good for the kids.
And my one fun item, coffee. It was non-negotiable. My bill coming out to just under $100. Nutritionists say the plan, which is heavy in produce, also has health benefits.
I always feel like we can all stand to have more plants in our pattern of eating. So this breakdown really encourages people to eat their fruits and veggies.
Okay, so to maximize the effectiveness of the strategy, it is still best to make a list of meal ideas and recipes in advance so you're not just throwing random items in your cart like I did. You want to try to make sure that all of that fresh food doesn't go to waste. So Coleman suggests you can cut some of it up as soon as you get home from the store. Eva.
Some good tips. Thanks, Elizabeth.
All right, that was the video itself. I encourage you to read the transcript. I transcribe these videos so that you can read the text with you if you want to watch the video again and see what you got and see what you missed. Yes, send the link later. I will send the link to the WhatsApp group. Sejun. Okay, and the transcript and then a quiz. I'm going to run a little quiz here for about 3 minutes. So you should see it on your screen. There's 4 questions, and I'll give you about 3 to 4 minutes to answer. So I'll come back in about 3 to 4 minutes, which will be 4 o'clock, and we'll go over the answers. So go ahead and start answering the questions. I can watch as you fill them out. They appear on my screen. The first question is market, supermarket, grocery mean. To break the ice means. Adjectives usually modify. And true or false, adjectives always come before the word they modify. So pick the answer that best is the best answer and go through all 4 of these questions. Seeing some good answers here. Don't worry, I'm not going to point out people who made a mistake. I'll just go through what those answers are. All right, I'm going to close the quiz and we'll go over the answers. So for the first question, it was market, supermarket, grocery mean similar places to buy things. So the places where you can buy food and other items can be a market, a supermarket, or grocery. They tend to be slightly different, but if you call a supermarket a market, you would not be wrong. Or if you call a market a grocery, they're very similar words. I tried to illustrate that they're somewhat distinct, but they're not very distinct. They're very similar. To break the ice means to start a conversation, and that's correct. So you all got that one right. Adjectives usually modify nouns and pronouns. So it's not participles that they modify. Adjectives usually modify nouns and pronouns. And then true or false, adjectives always come before the word they modify. That's actually false, as we saw in some cases. When you form a sentence, you can put the adjective after the noun. The blue sky is before the noun. The sky is blue is after the noun. So that's what we'll do to complete the class. And now we'll go to the final slide here. We're going to ask you to define an adjective and to create some sentences that use these adjectives: tall, green, old, rough, smelly. And then I'd like you to answer some questions or bring some questions about the video and grocery shopping in America. And don't worry if you cannot read well. This is not trying to make a hard lesson. You just need to do your best. I'm very patient and I want to teach you English well, and I am learning to speak Haitian Creole. And I know from my side that something that seems simple to you is actually very challenging to me. So some of the things I teach might appear simple to me, but I know they're challenging, and I appreciate that you are doing the work to learn. So with that said, we're running a little late. I will give you a chance to ask some questions at this time, and then we'll close. So any questions about the class or what you learned today? All right, I will post the answers. Excuse me, I will post the curriculum again in the WhatsApp group. I will post the link to the video in the WhatsApp group. I will post the link to the text in the WhatsApp group so that you can read those on your own and you can listen to them on your own. And with that said, I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.